Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Peter Gutwin's popularity has reached a record high, according to a news poll, with a satisfaction rating experts say is unheard of in Australia. Pollsters have put it down to Tasmania's handling of the coronavirus crisis, but say there's a long way to fall before the next election is due.
Day after day after day.
Morning.
The Premier reporting on the pandemic's progress. It's this coronavirus response that's led to a 90% satisfaction rating for Peter Gutwin.
Which is the highest polled in news poll history by any Premier, and I believe it to be the highest polled in a scientific opinion poll of any kind in Australia ever.
That's according to a news poll by The Australian, surveying 311 Tasmanians. After accounting for those who were dissatisfied, Peter Gutwin's net approval has jumped since April, sitting at 82%. Now the highest rated Premier in the nation, after less than 6 months in the top job.
He has done a wonderful job, but we're not focusing on polls, we're focusing on rebuilding our economy. And of course, the Premier's focus over the course of the last few months has been saving lives.
It's no surprise that in states like Tasmania, where we've managed to get on top of the pandemic, that approval ratings for the Premier is high.
The Prime Minister nationally enjoying rising approval ratings, but it's a different story here in Tasmania. His net satisfaction dropping to 23%, the lowest in the country.
Both governments have worked really hard in support of Australians as we work our way through the COVID-19 outbreak.
Celebrating now, but for Peter Gutwin it's a long way to fall. The unprecedented pandemic swinging voters in his favour. Momentum that may not last until the next election.
These numbers are the product of a freak circumstance. I don't expect these numbers to stay sky high forever as the pandemic recedes from voters' minds.
We shouldn't rush back to the ordinary. We should ensure that we strive to a better and fairer Tasmania.
The record support not tempting the government to call an early election.
The job's not over, there's a lot more to do.
Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian bank has attracted national attention by becoming the first to publicly offer a home loan interest rate below 2%. The record low fixed rate comes with a big condition. You must live here. But economists say it may not be long before other banks follow suit.
Negotiating the real estate and home loan market is a challenging task for many.
It was all quite overwhelming and confusing to start with.
Mike Maguire purchased his first home last year, but is now looking for a better mortgage deal. In stepped Bank of Us, the Tasmanian company announcing an Australian record low, a fixed interest rate of 1.99% for up to 3 years.
I had to look twice because it was quite a low rate. So yeah, it really stuck out to me. It saved me at least almost $300 every month, which is huge.
A market-leading fixed interest rate that gives people an option to lock in their borrowing at a rate that they know is fixed and ensures that they've got some confidence about what they need to do to repay their home loan.
Economists say it's a sign of the times, with the Reserve Bank's official cash rate also at a record low of 0.25%, and the market trying to lure customers from a pandemic-induced hibernation.
Groundbreaking. I mean, we are seeing borrowing costs the lowest they've ever been, but this is the first bank to offer a mortgage with an interest rate starting in a 1.
There is a catch. This interest rate is only being offered to Tasmanian residents, with the rest of the country now taking notice.
I think there is going to be more and more competition for mortgages. We are seeing demand for properties slowly starting to pick up, more transactions occurring. And if that continues, then people will be wanting to get that business.
A better deal at a time where it's needed more than ever. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
A woman has had a close call after her car flipped onto its roof in Hobart this morning. Emergency crews were called to a 2-vehicle crash on Sandy Bay Road just before 11 o'clock. One lane of the road was closed for around an hour while the scene was cleared. No serious injuries were reported. And police are investigating after a 9-year-old girl was struck by a car in Burnie yesterday afternoon. It's believed she was hit while attempting to cross a road in Park Grove from behind a parked car. A parent was with the girl at the time. The child remains in the Northwest Regional Hospital in a stable condition. Anyone who witnessed the crash is asked to contact police. A West Australian woman accused of murdering her Tasmanian mother has had her case mentioned in court. Natalie Ma appeared via video link in the Launceston Supreme Court this morning. The court heard 2 doctors will be called to give evidence next month. 71-year-old Veronica Corstefine was found dead in her South Launceston home in October. Ms Ma pleaded not guilty to the murder charge late last year. The case will return to court on July 17. And also in the Supreme Court in Launceston, 2 men pleaded guilty to stealing thousands of dollars worth of firearms from a Longford property. Lane Michael Dwyer and Zachary Allen Parker broke into the rural property in February this year. The pair fronted court today where Justice Robert Pearce adjourned their sentences. An alleged high-ranking member of a bikie gang has been charged with trafficking ice and cocaine on the Spirit of Tasmania last December. The 55-year-old Claremont man was arrested this morning in a joint operation between state and federal police. Authorities say at the time of the alleged offence, the man was president of the Hobart chapter of the Bandidos outlaw motorcycle gang. The arrest follows a large-scale police operation at Dover earlier this month. Wastewater sampling has revealed Tasmania's drug consumption levels. Hobart recorded the highest alcohol, cannabis and oxycodone use compared to all other capital cities. The state joined the Northern Territory and New South Wales with the highest nicotine and MDMA levels, while regional Tasmania saw some of the lowest numbers of cocaine users. Samples were taken between October and December last year and this February. In more uplifting news, a Tasmanian company has taken on a technical challenge to build accommodation pods for a special Antarctic mission. The caravan-like contraptions will need to withstand extreme conditions to protect researchers hunting for the million-year ice core.
Assembling the bulky exterior of a future home piece by piece. This rectangle box will soon become a sanctuary for expeditioners, based in remote and extreme Antarctica.
Designed to cater for 10 people, so in essence they're like caravan type accommodation, where we'll have tractors towing sleds, and on top of those sleds will be the living vans behind us.
That journey, 1,200 kilometres from the Casey Research Station out to the drill site of the million-year ice core, aiming to house researchers long term.
They will drill up to 3,000 metres through the plateau, so the ice core itself will be like a giant popsicle, and it'll be a continuous record. So we're expecting that effort to be in the vicinity of 5 to 6 summer seasons.
Taylor Brothers Marine, contracted to build 7 homes, part of Project Traverse. The major focus, keeping those inside warm.
For this project, we've had to adopt very stringent methods around cold paths from the interior of the container to the outside so that no heat transfers.
They need to withstand temperatures down to minus 80 degrees for some components that will be winterised. So they need to be obviously warm, and we need the capability to leave them on site over the winter.
While featuring one very unique facility.
The toilet's quite special because it burns all of its waste. Yeah, there's no flushing of it.
The vans are scheduled to reach the icy south by summer next year. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania is once again urging defence officials to visit the state with their military shopping list. But the government has been put on the defensive against Queensland, which has launched a bid to plunder maritime courses from Launceston.
Queensland Minister Kate Jones wants to poach a training course from Tasmania's Australian Maritime College. So how does Jeremy Rockcliffe feel about it?
Queensland can bugger off, quite frankly.
The program, which trains Pacific Islanders to use patrol boats, has been on offer at the AMC for 28 years. The contract expires in December. Queensland argues it makes more sense to run the course in Cairns. The AMC has lodged what it calls a strong bid.
We have the expertise in Tasmania, so it's very cheeky for Queensland to think that it can take that off us.
Meanwhile, the state government has pulled together a list of who's who in local defence. It hopes the business directory will land in the hands of those looking to buy.
And they are across the maritime sector, the aerospace sector, land vehicles and into the cyber domain as well. We have all of that capability in this state.
Haywoods normally fabricates steel for vessels used in aquaculture. It's now floating the idea of entering the military market.
So we're looking to further advance our skills in a new market to provide us with opportunities that we don't currently pursue.
The Commonwealth is still looking to spend $200 billion in defence over the decade. The Tasmanian government hopes a slice of that will propel the state's economy through uncertain times. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
A private hospital development that proved to be contentious with neighbours has been revised. The $55 million facility in Newtown has been modified by Nexus Hospitals after council and community feedback. The application for the short stay facility on Newtown Road now including increased setbacks from residential boundaries and improved public accessibility.
We've come out with a better building that I think suits the purposes of the surrounding community, and that's the way we'd like to do this, that we've got full support from the community that we're going to be part of.
The Tasman Private Hospital and Medical Centre proposal was formally advertised today. Despite pubs, bars and restaurants opening their doors, experts are urging us to stay off the drink for a good cause. Charity event Dry July will begin in a matter of hours, and some believe it's just what we need after a boozy stint in isolation.
We've seen people push their bodies to the limits for charity, but for some the challenge of Dry July may seem just as daunting.
They say it takes 21 days to break a habit. It's always the first week that's the hardest, but once you're through that, we have 99% of people say that they enjoyed their Dry July.
Many will take the plunge into alcohol abstinence from tomorrow, raising funds for a host of cancer support services.
So things like a lift to treatment, somewhere to stay close to their appointments, wellbeing therapy programs.
With alcohol consumption skyrocketing by 30% during the coronavirus crisis, experts say this should be the wake-up call for people to reassess their drinking habits.
They have been drinking more and they've been drinking more often and perhaps earlier in the day.
This year the challenge will be slightly different, with people able to sign up for dry spells of 14 days, 21 days or a full month.
They will replace drinking at the pub or the bar with their friends with other activities that they enjoy, whether it's being outside or walking, board games.
As pubs and bars begin to reopen, organisers say you can still support businesses without being tempted at the taps.
So we definitely encourage our Dry Julyers to remain social during the month and to go out and have a meal and have their non-alcoholic drink when they're out and about.
For more information, visit the Dry July website. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
A world favourite musical destined for Tasmania this year has been delayed. A local production of the Rocky Horror Picture Show was pulled due to COVID-19 restrictions. The spotlight on the cult classic are now set for October 2021 at Hobart's Theatre Royal.
It just gives us more scope to get the word out there and build this audience and get to the point where there are no restrictions at all, so we can all sit in this beautiful theatre, Australia's oldest working theatre, and blow the roof off.
The show returning to the state for the first time in 35 years.
Good evening. Lyawini, the low overnight with -3, while today the top was 15 at Friendly Beaches and Flinders Island. Hobart 12 degrees, Launceston 14, Burnie and Devonport 13. Strawn and St Helens 14 today, King Island, Lowhead and Grove 13. Ouse and Lyawini scrambled to 5 as their top. Fine and partly cloudy today, just a few patches of drizzle over central parts as this cloud pattern moved over us. Now on the big picture, just some patchy cloud along the east coast and convective cloud producing showers over southern Western Australia. The rest fairly clear. Tomorrow the large high continues to track eastwards. A cold front crosses the bight ahead of the next high, which is just edging into WA. North to northwesterly winds at 10 to 20 knots, increasing to 20 to 30 knots over the west. Winds tending more northerly late afternoon. We do have a strong wind warning. That's for waters between Tasman Island and Stanley. Hobart. Sunny and 14 tomorrow. A cool night for Geefton, morning fog and frost, 14 the high, 13 the top for Bothwell after a morning frost. Launceston, a light shower or two developing, 14 the high, 13 for Devonport with that same forecast. Cressy the same, a bit cooler though, and 12 degrees. 13 for Burnie with a light shower, a late shower for Strawn, 15 and 15 for Curry on King Island. And for St Helens, 15 the top, mostly sunny. Same for Swansea and 14 the high for Orford. Showers on Thursday though, right across the state, contracting to the west, far south and Bass Strait. Maybe some hail in the west. Showers over the west and far south on Friday, snow to 700 metres and morning hail. And on Saturday, fine over the north and east. A shower elsewhere with snow over the southwest. A shower clearing from Perth tomorrow, showers developing over Adelaide and then later at night over Melbourne. Fine and sunny weather for Sydney and Brisbane. Hobart cloudy at the moment, 9 degrees, 11 in Launceston, 12 degrees in Devonport. The overnight numbers getting a little bit low this time of year, but the highest number we heard today was the Premier's approval rating of 82%. Done my research, Kim. The only approval rating better than that is yours.
Don't know. All I can say is Joe warned me not to know what to expect. Before we leave you tonight, a new cute and furry addition has joined the clan at Bonnarong Wildlife Sanctuary. This Tasmanian pygmy possum was rescued by wildlife workers after being attacked by a cat. Luckily, she only suffered minor injuries and is expected to make a full recovery. She's so tiny. Staff captured this sweet video as a little lady was waking up from her anaesthetic. And that's all we have time for tonight, possums. See you later. Good night.